What's up guys, I am BlackOpsAmazing, welcome back to another zombies video on the channel, back with a Q&A, taking your questions from the comment section below and answering them to do with the zombies storyline. If you enjoyed today's video, as always, a like rating would be very much appreciated. Could we shoot on this video for 2,000 likes? I haven't asked you guys for that goal for a very long time, so if we could do that, that'd mean an awful lot. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel, and without further ado, let's get into it. Here we go. So the first question of today says, why did Richthofen listen to the Shadow Man? I love your videos, keep up the great work. Well, Richthofen first began to listen to the Shadow Man in World at War, and we know that because of the first time he ever travelled to the moon, which was in the 1940s de Ries. When Richthofen teleported himself for the first time, he arrived at the moon and came face to face with the MPD pyramid. As we know, at that time he didn't know what it was, he knew nothing about it, and so being curious, he touched it, and when Richthofen touched the MPD, he then became corrupted by the dark ether. Because the MPD was created by the Apothicons eons of years ago, they hid it on the moon, and so when Richthofen touched it, that meant that he also now had a link to them, that the Apothicons could now talk to Richthofen, and so the Shadow Man, being an Apothicon, began to speak to him. He spoke to Richthofen in his head, telling him to do all of these evil things. Richthofen, as the Shadow Man tells us in Revelations, became his apprentice. And so after Richthofen touched the MPD, he gained this connection to the Shadow Man. Just like anyone else who touched the pyramid, he became evil. He didn't have a choice, he couldn't control it. So it's not exactly like he listened to the Shadow Man. It's not like he had a choice. As I said, he was pretty much his apprentice. He had to do what the Shadow Man says, and so all of these evil things that Richthofen did after this, trying to kill Maxis and Samantha, trying to take control of the zombies and gain full power, it was pretty much the Shadow Man who was telling Richthofen to do all of that. As we know, before that, before de Ries, Richthofen was actually quite a good person. He was caring, he was best friends with Maxis. We can see from his Origins version what he would have been like before. He's pretty caring, yes, he's selfish, but he's definitely not evil, and that's what he would have been like before he touched the MPD, but as we know, he did, and that led to the old evil Richthofen that we know. The next question from Frank Hills 115 Gamer says, why does Takeo say you must awaken the test subjects in the Giant? Well, Takeo says this because obviously they're trying to secure and get their hands on the test subjects, and they believe that they are at the de Ries facility. That's where they should have been. They believe they are at the Giant. We know that in the original timeline, Richthofen was experimenting on them at Call of the Dead in Siberia, at that Group 935 base. He was experimenting on Pablo, Nikolai, and Takeo. That was until he killed Pablo, and then brought Dempsey to Call of the Dead to experiment on him. And then, as we know, once Richthofen finished experimenting on them at Siberia, he then brought them back to de Ries, where he left them in their pods ready for them to be awoken. He left them in de Ries. And then, as we know, when the zombie outbreak finally happened and Samantha took control, Maxis shot himself on the moon, Richthofen teleported back from the moon to de Ries, where he awoke Nikolai, Dempsey, and Takeo, and they then teleported to Shinonuma to collect Richthofen's diary, and then back to de Ries, where they fight off against the zombies. So in the original timeline, the characters were kept in their pods at de Ries. And so then when we come to the Giant, since it's the same map, that's where these characters should be. They should, during this time, be at de Ries in their pods, but as we know, they're not. What actually happens, and the Canorium explains this, is, as we can see in the intro, Richthofen has just teleported Maxis and Samantha away. He's just attempted to kill them. Takeo and the other characters then come into the room and tell this version of Richthofen that they must awaken their counterparts. But as we know, Primus Richthofen then arrives through the teleporter, kills his Ultima Self, and when he does this, this triggers fractures across space and time. And then as Primus are fighting against the undead in the Giant, as they're busy fighting the zombies, Group 935 then secure the Dempsey test subject, I presume from the Giant facility, although it doesn't say, and they transport him to de Ries. And as we know, that's when Darius and Draka kicks in, because our premise characters pursue them in one of the German robots. The Canorium, however, only mentions Dempsey. It doesn't say anything about the Nikolai and Takeo test subjects. When Richthofen shot himself in the Giant, and that triggered fractures through space and time, it is possible that that means that Nikolai and Takio were never caught by Group 935. They were never test subjects in these pods, and we can see that could be true because Takio is a test subject in Division 9's facility and Nikolai is in one of the robot suits in Gorod-Karovi. But just getting back to your question, why does Takio say you must make in the test subjects? It's because that's where he thought they would be in the Giant. The next question from Edgar says, hey BOA, is it possible that the red-eyed zombies are controlled by the Shadow Man in Revelations? Well, I've attempted to answer this question many times, and to be totally honest with you guys, I honestly don't know. We have different color-eyed zombies, yellow, blue, red, orange, also in Buried, but we've got to the point now where it's just so confusing. We had yellow-eyed zombies in the old days of zombies, World at War and Black Ops, where we thought that it meant that Samantha was in control, but then we have yellow-eyed zombies in Black Ops 3, where we definitely know Samantha isn't in control, so who's controlling them? We then have red-eyed zombies in Mob of the Dead, where we thought that, okay, that means that the devil is controlling them in the afterlife or purgatory, but then we have red-eyed zombies also in Gorod-Karovi and Revelations, so who's controlling them, because we know those maps are not in purgatory. And then we have the blue-eyed zombies. We know that Richthofen controlled them during Black Ops 2. And then, of course, at the end of the Buried Easter egg, if you do the Max's side, the zombies' eyes turn more of an orange colour. So as you see, things have gotten a little bit confusing, and as Jason Blundell has said, sometimes this means something and then sometimes it means nothing at all. And I think he said that for both the colour of 115, we know we've got loads of different colours from blue to green to orange, and he also meant the same thing for the eye colour of the zombies. Sometimes it means something and then sometimes it doesn't mean anything. And I don't know which way to take that. Does that then mean that in Revelations the eye colour of the zombies doesn't matter? Does it matter? I don't know. Who's controlling them? Is it possible that the Shadow Man is controlling the red-eyed zombies? I would have to say probably not. If so, how did the Shadow Man gain control of the zombies? We know he doesn't have any power over 115, or at least it doesn't seem that way. He's trying to get his hands on the summoning key to gain full control. He doesn't have that. And if he did have control of the zombies, surely he'd send them to attack Dr. Monty or the children or someone else. So because that doesn't happen, I assume that the Shadow Man doesn't have control of the zombies. How would he, right? So that can't mean that the red-eyed zombies relate to him. Who do they relate to? We thought in Mob of the Dead it was the devil. Who exactly is the devil in the zombie storyline? Isn't it the Shadow Man technically? It's gotten so confusing that I honestly can't explain it. I generally just think the eye colour of the zombies lately, especially in Black Ops 3, probably means nothing. Yellow was originally supposed to represent Samantha. We know she isn't in control of the zombies in Black Ops 3, so who does yellow now represent? I'm just gonna leave it there. Brewsome says, BlackOpsAmazing. If you could make a map, what would the intro and ending cutscene be? Mine would be that all the characters in every storyline meet up, and every time you go into a game, you could be a different set of characters, and there'd be a different Easter egg for each one. And I think that's a really cool idea. Just imagine if at one point in the story, all of our characters throughout Zombies met up. The Primus crew, the Ultimus crew, the Call of the Dead crew, Mob of the Dead crew, the Transit characters, maybe Brock and Gary, we could include them, Gersh, Yuri, the Five crew, the Shadows of Evil ones, there's so many. Imagine if at one point they all met up and we had a map where we could choose which crew we want to play as, and then if we complete the Easter egg as this set of characters that we choose, we get a different ending and intro cutscene each time. For each set of characters on this one map, we get a different alternative ending. I think that'd be super cool. If not that, just at the end of a map, seeing all of these characters meet up in an outro, that for me would have been the perfect ending for Revelations. If somehow all of these characters end up meeting together, I just think that would have been a cool ending. I don't know what would have happened. If it would have caused some major paradox, I don't know, but I think that would be cool, and I definitely love to see that in the future. As for if I could make a map, what would it be? I don't know. I mean, I'd say space, but we've already got that with Moon. Where else can we honestly go? It's so difficult. I think I'd actually love to play as Primus during the Great War. If in Black Ops 4 or whatever Treyarch's next game is, if we could go back to the age of Primus, to the 12 and 1300s, play as them in the Great War, fighting against the Apothicons alongside the Wolf King, Arthur, Pablo Marinus. that for me would be the perfect map. But let me know your ideas in the comment section below. Anyway guys, there we go. That is all for today's video. Hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have, you know what to do. Drop a like rating, make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.